So I'm halfway through my painting and I thought I would continue with narration because I have a few things to explain about my process. First of all, I want to show you what I used as paints. So this is the Decadent Pies by Prima. It's a set of 12 beautiful colors. Very good for nature, also very good for faces. It's got quite a nice variety of skin tone in there and cool blues and greens and browns. So very earthy. And I used a brush I've never used before. This is the number 4 by Princeton, but it is a script brush. Okay, I've never used a script brush before. The bristles are quite long as opposed to, let's see, grab another one here. So this is a round brush. Let me show you the difference. I don't have a number 4, so this is, I'm comparing number 8 to number 4, but I think you get the gist. It's a very skinny and long brush as opposed to this one, which is a little bit fatter here and goes into a point as well. So I was a bit puzzled as to how to use it. The name implies that you would use this for lettering with paint, although I would be very puzzled as to how to handle this for lettering. So I proceeded super cautiously, and I never set out to do, this is more like a seascape, I want to say. I had no clue whatsoever. So I went in very slowly. I started adding a little bit of color, mixing in the yellow. Wasn't really sure how to do it, so it was kind of like fiddling around. And then what happened is I wanted to test that out, and I made those gestures, this flicking gestures, and I hated it because I didn't like the width of the lines. There were too many. I didn't know how to handle these lines. So I took the brush, which was semi-wet, and I started blurring them. And that's when that painting turned into a cityscape. Not a cityscape, a landscape or seascape, whatever you want to call it. And from that point on, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to kind of like keep everything sort of a little bit abstract-ish. I did install a couple of cliffs here. They're not very defined, and that's fine with me. The yellow that I added here kind of reminds me a little bit of the sun, so I added a bit of yellow here at the bottom. But then to test this out, I wanted to see how it would flick. Because the bristles are so long, I figured if I really flick hard, it would make like a row of dots, and it did. I have used this technique in the past with a regular brush, like a round brush, probably a couple of years ago when I first started doing watercolor, and I forgot about it. So I decided to do this. So this is what happened here. Now you can see here I've got a super long line, and this is not by brushing it. This is strictly by flicking. So and then the dots were kind of like light because, of course, when you're flicking, you kind of have to dilute a little bit more with water. So I wanted to have darker dots. So I went in with more pigment, and then I added that, and then I let that dry. So what I'm going to do now is use this to add some, I guess, branches with funky leaves. I don't know. I have no idea how you would call them, but here we go. So I have this idea that I would leave those dots alone and create more with a marker. Now this is the Muji pen. It's the black blue, I believe. It's the Hexa pen because of its shape, and it is the 0.25mm tip, so it's really fine. I could have used black, but I don't know, I kind of want to do blue and see how it would look. So here we go. I'm gonna bring you in a little closer. So like I said, these dots I'm gonna leave alone. Kind of like goes in the same vein as my doodling style of lately. I don't really doodle to define the shape. I kind of doodle around or off of it. Okay, so I'm going to do a stem here. And I'm going to create more of these dots. And I'm going to leave those alone. So that stem kind of goes this way as well. There's one here that I want to use on that same stem. And I'm also adding a little bit. I'm varying the sizes, and then more oblong. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm using the existing dots as a guide to let me know where I should install a stem. I'm trying to show you the full picture. It's difficult. And I'm making sure that my shapes are different. They're not all circles, of course. And I'm going to connect some of these existing dots here. Now this is going to be one, whoops. And this I'm going to have to compose with this thick one. So I'm kind of following the same movement that I had when I when I did those lines at the beginning that I did not like. Now this one, I'm not quite sure how to handle that one. Now the one thing I'm noticing though is that the details are quite delicate. The background is somewhat busy, although I've used not many colors, and that's starting to bother me. So I might change the look of this. Not sure. I'll figure it out once I move forward with this. The way I can address this, I just realized, is that I could make those branches fuller as opposed to keeping them quite sparse. Like the dots are very sparse. So maybe I could change the way that I'm addressing this branch. That's probably what I'll end up doing. So let's see, let's shift gear. Okay. So what I'm going to do is do a whole bunch of dots or circles or shapes. I'm still going to leave the ones that are painted untouched. I'm just going to add more. That's all I'm going to do. Yeah, and I think it's going to make the branches more solid and more of an impact. All right, I'm about to probably make a huge mistake, but I think that this cloud should be darker because I have a lot of darks at the bottom and the top is all light. I mean, listen, it's nature, I get it, but woo! Okay, talk about dark. Well, oops. It's not easy to lift with that brush because it's skinny and long. And I have a beautiful dot right here. I'm gonna need to mix the other blue to match a little bit. Did I make a mistake maybe? Do I care? Not at this point. I really don't. Let's add a little bit of that color here, because typically the branches would stem off of the ground, and I consider this to be water, so oops, I think this helps. I'm adding darker brown here. And so because of that, I'm going to add some more here as well. Okay, so there's something about this composition that bothers me. What I think is that the top is too heavy. See, when I added this, I thought I was correcting something and I was making it worse. In fact, let me grab a piece of paper. I want to try something. Let's hide. Oh, look at this. Ta-da! That I like. I can even bring it a little bit higher. Ah! Isn't this better? So the problem was not, because at some point in time I thought this was the problem, but it's not. What I did not like is the heaviness of the top. So I got it wrong. While I was doing it. I thought the top needed to be darker. Isn't that fun though? Figuring out what works and what doesn't work. Oh, I love this. And I think this bronzy color might be a little too out of place. There is a little bit of the sun going there, but I think that this could have been like light blue. Or even yellow, but light blue I think would have been better. But as I said, I never set out to do a seascape. It just turned out that way. I absolutely love the way the water turned out. And I even see some ghost lines that I did before. That doesn't even bother me at all. It just adds a little bit of movement. And I love the white parts that were created probably by a surplus of hand lotion again while I was binding my book, but happy. You know what? Let's do something. Let's try to do something. Now I'm going to use the script brush and I'm going to try and remove some of that detail. This does not lift the color very well because it's too soft. Oops. It's way too soft. It doesn't scrub well. I should switch my brush. I'm going to take this brush here, which is the black silver. It's not a watercolor brush, it's just like a flat brush, but the bristles are very rigid. I used this yesterday. And I'm going to try and scrub at this. Ooh. Oh, looky here. Well, it's this part here that's really bothering me. Now my brush, I'm using it almost perpendicular to the paper. It's semi-wet. I don't want to create a puddle there. And since I'm not going to use that dot for anything else, I'm just going to use it for the sky. And I'm good with creating horizontal lines in the sky because it's the sky. It doesn't matter. need to keep going then to be consistent. Okay. Those lines are too delicate. I'm not done. I'm not done. I am going to add color inside all of these. Why? Because those thin lines are not working for me. It doesn't go with the painting, with the overall painting. I feel they're out of place. And the fact that I'm seeing the sky and the sea through those circles is bothering me. So I think this is going to help. In fact, I already know it's going to help. Even like from afar. I'm going to show you from up close. I'm going to hide that part, definitely. I might cut it up if I have nothing behind. Never mind. I have something behind. I can't do that. Alright, it's okay. It's all good. But you see how this is helping a lot, I find. Yep. And I was so convinced that sketching these little flowers would help, but it just enhanced the confusion. I needed something solid. It's okay if I have a few lines peeking through here and there, I don't mind. Let me turn some of these in bigger circles because they're quite fine. That definitely helped a great deal. A very great deal. Oops. Yes. Now I am a lot happier. The thing that I'm most proud about this painting is the fact that I was able to figure out what did not work and I was able to bring it back. In some cases, it's good to walk away when things don't work out your way. But sometimes if you're persistent, you learn a thing or two. And I did. This painting, born out of nothing, I had no plans, was giving me a lot of... I had to ask a lot of questions during the process. And the fact that I was able to figure out that the top of the sky was too heavy, the flowers or whatever were too light in value, that experience is invaluable to me. I like the way it's framed right now on the screen, and I'm probably going to cover up the top part. Here, I'm going to zoom back out so that you can see, whoops, what I'm talking about. See? It changes the whole painting. I mean, yeah. So I'm gonna put it back because it bothers me. But it's amazing the lessons that you get from such an experience. They do say mistakes help you grow, and that's so true, so true. This one is certainly a good example for me. I love the water, like I said. I'm probably repeating myself, so I'm just gonna stop. You can hear the full narrative as it happened. I thank you so much for watching, and as usual, the list of supplies will be in the description of this video. And if you want to share your experiences or your artwork, do share. I'm on Facebook and Instagram under Créations CeeCee. If you are a patron, you can show me or share your story or photos of your artwork in the community tab. Some people have started doing that, so that's a lot of fun. And incidentally, thank you so much to my patrons for contributing to my artistic journey. They're so appreciated. You guys, thank you so much. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.